Hey everyone, I'm Clara, and this week we are going to talk about YA books with autistic main characters. April is Autism Awareness Month, and the Coos Bay Public Library is celebrating that by showing you some books we have in our collection with autistic main characters. Now, some of these are from the children's section, the older children's chapter books. A lot of these are from YA, and a couple of these are from the adult fiction and nonfiction. So if you're interested in reading any of these and want to find them here in the library, I'll put their record links in our catalog in the description below. So let's get started. We're going to divide these up into a couple of categories, and we're also going to talk a little bit about own voices representation. So own voices means that whatever content was created, a book, a review, a movie, whatever, it was created by a person who has the same identity as whatever the character is they're talking about. So in this case, if the book is Own Voices, that means it was written by an actually autistic author. Both Own Voices and actually autistic are hashtags. If you want to learn any more about those, you can search the hashtags. So we're going to divide the books into a few different categories. First, we're going to talk about the fiction books that were written by non-autistic or neurotypical people. We'll divide those into the categories of books that receive mixed reviews from actually autistic reviewers and books that receive primarily positive reviews. Then we'll talk about the Own Voices fiction books that were written by actually autistic authors. Then we'll talk about a couple of nonfiction biographies we have written by autistic people about their lives. So we're starting with the fiction books that were not written by autistic authors. Now, this could mean that they were written by people who have autistic children. They could be written by people who work with autistic children in schools or in therapy or whatever. Or they could be written by people who did research and possibly people who did no research at all. Anytime you're reading a book that is not Own Voices, no matter what it's representing, autism, race, gender, sexuality, whatever, make sure that you try and find reviews written by readers who actually share those identities to see if they're portrayed accurately. We're going to start with The Curious Instant of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. Now, this is one of the most popular YA books with an autistic main character. It's been around for a while, and it's one that gets very mixed reviews from autistic readers. Some say that it has horrible representation, and some say that they absolutely identify with it. This is sort of a mystery book as the main character tries to uncover the mysterious circumstances of the death of their neighbor's dog. The next one in this category is Marcello in the Real World by Francisco X. Stork. In this book, Marcello's father encourages him to get a job in the, quote, real world so that he can start preparing himself for life after high school. The next book is Mockingbird by Catherine Erskine. In this book, the 10-year-old main character, Caitlin, is trying to deal with grief, both in herself and in her father, after her brother's death. Next, we have The London Eye Mystery by Siobhan Dowd. In this book, siblings Ted and Kat try and solve the mystery of their cousin's disappearance on the London Eye, which is a giant Ferris wheel in London. The intended audience for this book is more tweens and younger teens. Next, we have Ginny Moon by Benjamin Ludwig. The intended audience for this one is more older teens and adults, and follows Ginny, who thinks she has finally found her forever home in her new adopted parents, but is still troubled by some aspects from her previous life that are still missing. Next, we have The White Bicycle by Beverly Brenna. In this book, teenager Taylor travels to the south of France in order to get a little bit of work experience before entering the quote-unquote real world of life after school. This is a coming-of-age story about finding your identity. And the last book for this category is Watchdog by Will McIntosh. In this book, twins Vic and Tara are living on the street with the mechanical dog that Tara built, and everything is going great until the local crime boss notices how cool their little robot dog is and wants to add it to her watchdog army. And then suddenly they're on the run and fighting to protect their little watchdog Daisy. Our next category is books that were written by non-autistic authors but received primarily positive reviews from autistic reviewers. Our first book is Anything But Typical by Nora Rowley Baskin. This book follows the story of 12-year-old Jason, who is trying to figure out how to make friends and exist in the world and have people see him, not just his autism. The other book in this category is Mind Blind by Jennifer Roy. This book follows 14-year-old Nathaniel and his quest for the status of genius, not just in IQ and SAT score, but in making his mark and contribution with the world. The next two books are Own Voices representations of autism, written by actually autistic authors. It is important to remember that one person's perspective of their identity is not necessarily the same as somebody else's feelings about that same identity. Identity is a very personal thing, so even though these are written by autistic authors, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to ring true with every autistic reader. So the first book in this category is Colin Fisher by Ashley Edward Miller and Zach Stentz. In this book, main character Colin is in his first year of high school and decides to take on the mystery of who shot the gun in the school cafeteria. Though it's currently checked out, the other book I want to mention in this category is On the Edge of Gone by Corinne Dalvis. This is a futuristic sci-fi novel in which a comet is scheduled to hit the Earth, and main character Denise is trying to find a way to get herself, her sister, and her mom on one of the ships that is escaping Earth. And finally, we have 2 nonfiction biographies in which autistic authors tell their own stories. First, there's Born on a Blue Day, which tells the story of savant Daniel Tammet. And next, there's Fall Down 7 Times, Get Up 8 by Naoki Higashida. This is the same gentleman who wrote The Reason I Jump, which is also at the Coos Bay Public Library, but currently checked out. In The Reason I Jump, he describes life in his teen years, while in Fall Down 7 Times, Get Up 8, he tells more about his life as a young adult. And those are the books we have for you today. If you have any questions about this channel specifically, or the library in general, feel free to email us at coosbaylibrary@gmail.com. And if you're interested in our upcoming events, check out our events calendar at coosbaylibrary.org. If you're interested in becoming a part of this channel, contributing in some way, talk to Becca or I here at the library. You can also get more information by joining the Teen Advisory Group, or TAG. I'll link some information for that in the description below. And that's all for this week, folks. Come check us out. We hope to see you soon.